David Goggins versus Ali Abdaal. Which philosophy will make you rich? Who wins? Imagine two versions of you. Version A wakes up at 4 a.m. every day. Cold shower, no excuses. He calls himself a savage. He says comfort is the enemy. He runs until his feet bleed and then runs some more. Version B wakes up at 7 a.m., makes a nice coffee, works on stuff he genuinely enjoys. He says suffering is optional. He wrote a whole book about how fun is the secret to getting more done. 10 years later, which version is richer, happier, and still actually working? That's not a trick question, but the answer might surprise you. Let's set the stage. David Goggins, former Navy SEAL, ultramarathon runner, and probably the most intense human being alive. His book, Can't Hurt Me, sold millions of copies. His core belief? You're only operating at 40% of your potential. The other 60% is locked behind pain, discomfort, and suffering. His famous quote? The most important conversation you'll ever have is with yourself, and you need to be willing to attack yourself. Now meet Ali Abdaal, a Cambridge-trained doctor turned YouTube's biggest productivity creator with over 5 million subscribers. His book, Feel Good Productivity, argues the exact opposite. The secret to doing more isn't suffering, it's making your work feel good. His core belief? Enjoyment isn't a reward for hard work. Enjoyment is the work. Two philosophies, both wildly popular, both with millions of followers who swear by them. So who's right? Here's what Goggins gets absolutely right. Most people quit too early, not because the goal is impossible, but because their brain hits a wall and says, this is uncomfortable, let's stop. Goggins calls this the 40% rule. You think you're done, but you're not even close. And the research backs this up. Studies on elite athletes show that mental toughness is trainable. Discomfort tolerance can be built like a muscle. But here's the problem. Goggins is a statistical outlier. He was abused as a child, struggled with severe learning disabilities, and channeled decades of trauma into fuel. His superpower isn't his training program. It's his origin story. When the average person tries to be Goggins, what actually happens? Burnout, injury, and a deep sense of failure when you can't maintain the 4 a.m. wake-ups. Here's the data. A 2023 study from the University of Toronto found that people who rely purely on willpower and discipline to achieve goals have a higher dropout rate after 8 weeks compared to those who tied their goals to enjoyment and intrinsic motivation. Goggins works for Goggins, but his method has a serious scalability problem. Now let's look at Ali's world. Ali Abdaal built a multi-million-dollar business making YouTube videos. He's openly said that he never grinded. He just kept making content he found genuinely interesting. And the numbers don't lie. Consistent creators who enjoy their niche last longer, grow faster, and earn more. His framework is built on a real psychological concept. Flow state, first described by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Flow is that feeling when you're so absorbed in a task that time disappears. It's not just enjoyable, it's also when you produce your best work. Here's a wild stat. People in flow state are 5 times more productive than their baseline. 5 times. Not 10% more. 5 times. And flow is almost impossible when you're suffering. So Ali's argument is actually science, not just vibe. But, and this is important, Ali's method also has a blind spot. Enjoyment doesn't show up on demand. There are skills you need to learn that aren't fun. There are markets that don't care about your passion. And sometimes, make it fun is just not enough when the deadline is tomorrow and you haven't started. Here's the insight nobody talks about. Goggins and Ali aren't actually arguing about the same thing. Goggins is answering the question, how do I break through a short-term wall? Ali is answering the question, how do I build a sustainable career over 10 years? They're both right. They're just solving different problems. Think about it like building a house. Goggins is the guy who breaks ground, jackhammering concrete in the rain, muscles burning, 0 complaints. You need him for the hard foundation work. But would you want him to design your interior? To choose the curtains? To think about whether you'll actually want to live there in 20 years? That's where Ali comes in. The most successful people, and I mean the ones who are still happy and wealthy a decade later, they use Goggins for the 20% of the time when the work is just hard and needs to get done. And they use Ali for the 80% of the time when they're building systems, relationships, and products that compound. It's not Goggins or Ali, it's Goggins then Ali. Now let's talk money, because that's what you're really asking. The Goggins path creates what I call a spike career. Intense bursts of output, huge short-term gains, followed by burnout, pivot, and starting over. You see this pattern a lot with extreme hustle culture entrepreneurs. They make $1 million, burn out, lose it all, rebuild. The emotional and financial volatility is massive. The Ali path creates a compounding career. Slower start, lower peak intensity, but the work accumulates. Content compounds. Skills compound. Relationships compound. Reputation compounds. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Compound growth always beats spike growth over a long enough time horizon. Warren Buffett didn't get rich by working 100-hour weeks. He got rich by making good decisions, consistently, for 60 years. That requires enjoying the process enough to keep showing up. So if your goal is long-term wealth, Ali wins. But if your goal is breaking out of mediocrity right now and you need a kick in the face to start, Goggins wins. The question isn't which philosophy is better, the question is, which phase of the game are you in? So here's your mind hacker takeaway. Stop asking, should I grind or should I enjoy? That's the wrong question. Ask yourself, what does my current situation actually need? Are you stuck in comfort, making excuses, avoiding the hard thing? Call Goggins. Embrace the discomfort for a season. Are you grinding yourself into the ground, burning out, hating everything you worked for? Call Ali. Redesign your work around what actually energizes you. The people who figure out when to deploy each mindset, those are the ones who win. Not the Goggins purists who destroy their health. Not the Ali followers who never do the hard thing. The synthesis is the secret. And that, my friend, is how you hack your own mind. If this made you think differently about how you work, hit subscribe, because that's literally what this channel is about. And drop in the comments, are you Team Goggins or Team Ali? I want to know where you stand. See you in the next one.